Eagles foot for Beau Waters, and it does look like season.
He should have broken foot.
Beginning of the final term, Naitanui goes up, thumps it forward. Stolen away by Shuey. He can go inside the 50. Question of accuracy, not there. Hangs it out to the right. Naitanui, I mean, this has really been something. And I would imagine Darren Jolly may be watching the telecast this afternoon. Just developing a nervous twitch.
You think you'd be trying to get one of your half forwards on the back of the centre square, because those ones where they just run through the front of the centre square from the centre, they must have done them half a dozen times today at least.
Reaching over the top, Glass got a fist on the Thompson kickoff. Wright went back and did nicely to Bastanak. It's going to be a free kick. It'll go to Hansen for a push. Comes up hobbling. So North just falling away with their form in the last couple of weeks, which was disappointing. Probably when they played the finals 5 weeks ago, their form was red hot then. This ball goes towards the outer side. Mark is taken by Anthony. But given what they went through in Launceston, they still came back with wonderful courage. Oops, awkward bounce. McMahon left it behind. Anthony in 2 minds for Rito. Sold into trouble. The veteran gets away. Well, he took them on. He was a bit lucky in the end. Hill knocks it in the direction of Lynch. Lynch fires a hand pass across to Gaff. Gaff pulls it back towards the middle. How will it bounce? Plenty of North players there. Bastanak does well.
Harper had to duck down. It was a tough handball to him. Can he get the ball out, Harper? It'll be a ball up. You know, there's been a bit going on between Adam Selwood and Brent Harvey at the start of this quarter. They have been into each other's faces. I reckon the only thing Harvey's got over Selwood is that he's probably not going to be playing next week anyway, Harvey. And Adam Selwood does want to play next week. Ooh. So Zeeble, that clearance out wide. Atley wants to bounce with Hill and a boundary throw in.
It was interesting watching that between Kerr and Harvey. I don't think Kerr was entirely blameless.
No, there was a little one early.
Harvey finished it, however.
A little one in the midriff early, wasn't there?
Yes, there was.
A little glove tapper. Naitanui did the roving and then breaks away. Handball towards Lynch. Well done by Lynch. Hill couldn't quite. Zeebel's had a magnificent second half, and he kicks to Swallow. That's happened a couple of times in the second half. They've both been terrific.
Swallow hard against the boundary line to the wing. Campbell trying to get in front there, but bulky man to move is Hearn, and the ball goes out of bounds. 102 plays 58.
Lee, you spoke at three-quarter time about what Brad Scott's message would be. What do you do when you're the coach of the West Coast Eagles here? You know you're going to win and you know you're playing next week. What do you want?
It's the persevere with all the things that you want to get done in your game as you're sailing. It's all just about habits, isn't it? So you just got to say to them, no matter what the scoreboard is, we've got to keep doing the things that we plan that gives our best chance of winning. Simple as that.
Petrie drives North inside their forward 50. Sliding in there was Brennan, trying to punch it away, missed the footy, but it worked out okay, backing up his Glass. He's played a fine game back there, short to Wembley. 4 goals to the veteran this afternoon. Boy, who came up through Trinity High School. Marston, short one, Scott Selwood. What a season he's had. Goes out wide, and again that break behind the line as far as North are concerned, and Gaff is away. Thought he may have fancied his chances against Goldstein, but kicks inside the forward 50. It'll be a free kick. The big body of Dean Cox, so hard to move. Thompson eventually succumbing.
Does that so well, Cox, doesn't he? I mean, he just pushes back so hard that the opposition defender tends to just grapple trying to get past the big body. He's just so big.
Well, I think you're almost concerned he might fall on you, Luke.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like that tree in the forest.
Dangerous. Yeah, he almost created that himself, Cox, but he's always going to get the free kick.
Game 250 for the champ, and he comes. Kick is on the way. Oh, how's that?
Chip.
Exquisite skills for a man that side, Dean Cox.
Sort of the explanation mark to his game today. I mean, he hasn't been dominant, but he's played. Every time he touches the ball, something good's happened, I reckon. I mean, he and Naitanui, again, as a combination, have been supreme. He's had a fantastic year, Cox, and not only as a ruckman, but he's kicked 27 goals. Now, that is so handy, isn't it? It's like an extra big forward, 27 goals.
Tim, you played with the great Simon Madden, who I guess is his rival, really, over the last 30, 35 years.
Well,
Comparisons?
I think Simon Madden was probably even a better ruck forward than Cox. The thing that Cox would have that Simon didn't was the athleticism around the ground.
Yeah, the getting as a follower.
So Goldstein got it from Swallow. Of course, Simon Madden was a great goal kicker himself, wasn't he?
Yeah, he could have been a key forward, Simon Madden.
Unbelievable. He kicked more than 570 goals, Simon Madden.
They've headed out to the main highway again.
Yeah, they've used this brilliantly today. Shuey, such a run and carrier to Lynch. And then Lynch off a step. A long ball. Not quite. Nat knew he was jumping around. Schofield slowly after it. They must be tired, these players. Inside and finds Kennedy. Bit of a blue at full forward there. Everything's okay.
Well, I wonder when John Worsfold's going to start to think about next week too, and maybe look to rest some of the players.
Yeah, well, in the old days when you were only having 20 or 30 interchanges, you just I used to bring Michael Voss and Clark Koenig off. They were injuries waiting to happen, but at the moment, or they could do with the short game. But with the massive rotation, if you bring one or two players off, then it puts more load on the others.
It's the most unusual run-up in AFL footy, and Kennedy gets a second goal. He's done his bit, Kennedy. I reckon he's really important in the big scheme of September.
Well, he takes one of those big key defenders, doesn't he, which gives Darling then maybe the second or third, which is why they played Lynch and then they played so tall down there at the start of the game too.
It'll be fascinating next weekend. They play Collingwood. If there's any rain about it, or you wonder if they'll play the same team. Yeah. I mean, they've got a very, very big forward line today, haven't they?
He's worked his way into it pretty well too, Kennedy.
Yeah, he's been good.
As the game's gone on, I've just been watching his movement most of the day. Seems to be covering the ground better.
Just over 15 minutes remaining. Collingwood are next as far as the Eagles are concerned. Cunnington, oblivious to all of that, just digs it out of the middle, kicks inside the forward 50. Hearn gets back. Gaff is breaking, but he goes long to what? An exquisite
look
kick.
where they go again.
Selwood.
Over the top.
Marston. Curtis is inside. He'll ignore that. He will carry the ball at least for a while. Two bounces. Marston. Thought about a third. Now spots Kennedy on the move. And Kennedy will line up from about 35 metres out.
He would have got his just confused, Marston. What's happening here? There's Bloodrule up the other end of the field.
He's become a really important player for them this year, Marston.
Yeah.
He's their #1 inside 50 player.
He's passing the ball well, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I reckon he had four options then.
Yep.
He had to just pick which of the Eagles forwards had the most space. Kennedy was the one who got free, but really there was about 4 targets in there.
And that was the slow in his game, his disposal by foot.
Bit of a rarity, boys. Adam Selwood, one of the Selwood boys, coming off with the blood rule. That's never happened in AFL before.
They've got a patented head bandage.
That's right. They should be pre-bandaged before the game. Saves everyone time. Here's Kennedy. Got 35 metres out then. Ironically, if he kicks a goal here, it's the biggest lead of the game. North have thrown everything at them since half-time. It doesn't matter.
It was interesting hearing Ross Lyon talk about the Melbourne game and what he told his players to do at three-quarter time. He said actually to play slow in the final quarter. I just wonder whether or not there might be a message goes out from John Worsfold now. It's a 6-day break. It's a massive game next week against Collingwood. They know that. I reckon they would fancy themselves against Collingwood. They played them the final last year. They pushed them all the way.
Well, they beat them here about 3 weeks ago, didn't they?
Exactly. So they've got to go on the road and do it again.
Have a look at the crowd reaction to Kennedy here. It's been just a glorious afternoon if you're an Eagles fan, isn't it?
They've had a fun day.
Actually, it's been a big weekend for Perth. They've had a fantastic result last night and again today. So Swallow out wide. Running onto it, McMillan. Now he had Gibson inside, hooks the ball back to centre half forward, and Butler underneath it. 51 games since that grand final win in 06 for poor old Butler. He's had a lot of sick days, the Butler, hasn't he? So they like him though. He's their favourite Butler because they kick every time he's fit. They pick him. I like Marston too. It's his 14th kick today, and I reckon he's He's been very, very good. He's taken a while, Dennis Marseille. I mean, high draft pick. He looked disappointing in his first 3 seasons, but he looks like he's really come good.
That point you mentioned before, Tim, about trying to conserve energy, no doubt the Eagles would like to be an energy conservation, whether you can't really rest players. See what happens here?
There's Harvey with a golden opportunity after a very slow kick from Glass intended for Embley, but Harvey misses and the crowd enjoy that. He's on their watch list at the moment. They're not happy with him after that incident with Daniel Kerr right on the siren of 3/4 time. Nice kick coming in. Butler's got it again. I wonder, Bruce, if he's heard many Butler jokes. Well, I reckon he might have.
Sorry, Sam.
Be like me with nose jokes. Butler goes along the line. Brennan slides in, takes the mark. You would have heard them all.
You might get some conductor jokes from now on, Dennis.
Well, they liked my performance, I've got to say, Bruce. They said they could see me sort of developing into something. A bit late in the day, I told them. Here's Swallow. Brilliantly done, Harvey. Can he make amends? Looks down towards full forward. Found range right through the middle. He's got 3, Boomer.
Well, he hasn't missed a lot today, has he? He hasn't missed a few. He missed 1 shot, I know, but he didn't miss Kerr and he hasn't missed that one. So how's he played today? He's kicked 3 goals. How's he played?
Oh, he's had the chance to run through 50. While you're down there, Lingy, just this conservation of energy we were talking about with Tim, you can't sort of really rest players because you've got to keep your rotation going. Maybe you just got to get, put Kerr into the forward line, try and get some guys in the midfield who've mainly played deep or something.
Oh, first things first, I'd be getting Cox and Nat Nui both off the ground and just sit them down for the rest of the game. But no, you're right.
Put too much load on the others.
Yeah,
though,
absolutely. You can't do it. It loads up other players, and you end up spending a lot of energy running and chasing if you don't play the way you want to play. You give the opposition too much of the footy.
So Thomas wins a hard ball, and then Swallow belts the ball forward, running onto it as Campbell. He's had a good day, Campbell, and Harper nearly got his foot to it.
Like a soccer cross then.
I mean, you guys know better than I, but you almost got to say, well, we just got to grit our teeth and get through the next 15 minutes.
Well, that's the point. I guess it's very hard to do what you'd like to do. You'd like almost from the Eagles' point of view, call the game off. We've played enough because they're going to have 2 6-day weeks with travels if they can keep going and get to Sydney in that preliminary final.
Free kick to Petrie. Had a quiet
you can go into that mode of play that the teams practice all the time when they just try and just slow the game down. And
when you got the ball in your own hands, at least.
And they've kicked so well today, the Eagles. So I mean, maybe they can use that as a way of just experimenting a little bit too.
Brittis to Kerr. Kerr, well done. Off a step, Kerr, and then tries to caress it out wide.
Punched away on the outer side, but to no one in particular. Now McMillan coming through is McGinnity. McGinnity looks inside the forward 50. Nat Nui. Oh, wow. That was clean in the hands, wasn't it?
That's a great mark coming on the lead like that with that sort of pressure from a bloke who's probably as good as any. In those one-on-one contests, Thompson.
Yeah. He didn't pick up the flight quickly, but when he accelerated, Thompson stayed on his back. They had no chance of actually getting too much pressure on him.
So, Nick, it's not the most fluent kicking style in the world. Braids are flying there, and he comes right on the 50. Is it effective on this occasion? No, misses to the near side, but got plenty of distance.
He's just starting to pick up a lot of the subtleties of the game, though, too, Lee, with his body movement and fending off direct opponents, that type of thing. Stuff that was really foreign to him when he first stepped into AFL football, but his craft has really improved.
This is what Atley does so well. Gee, he ran a long, long way after the first bounce. And free kick, obviously, to Gibson.
What do you reckon the message was to Atley at half-time?
Run?
Yes, I think so.
And carry, eh? So Thompson and a left foot floater, and that one going out of play. Just thinking ahead to Collingwood and West Coast. They've played some remarkable finals. They had the draw, Lee. They had the draw, of course, as you know so well.
Yeah. Oh, you mean that? Yeah.
Yeah, they had the draw at Waverley.
The overtime win over here only a couple of years
and they had a 2-pointer at the Wacker. Mickey McGuan. It was an amazing. So they've had 3 amazing finals. So who knows what might happen next week? That's what will be happening. It'll be Collingwood and West Coast. West Coast beat them by a big margin over here, late in the season. Brittis to Gaff. What a fine young player Gaff is. And then Gaff, lovely kick to Natanui. And you look at Gaff to Natanui and you think of the future of this club.
Yep.
Well, they tagged him last week. Hawthorn actually put young Shields on Gaff because I think they got a lot of good midfielders, but he's almost their elite carrier out in space.
So Kerr coming off, gets a round of applause.
About the year they've drafted Gaff and Darling. And they've been two good pickups last year.
So can Natanui get this one home? Kenny, he's done it. Going to get any better than this for the Eagles?
I tell you one thing, they're doing energy conservation, not worried about celebrating goals. Don't waste energy celebrating goals, just wander back to the centre for the next one.
Do you reckon that was a directive from John Worsfold?
They've worked that out for themselves.
They've kicked 50 goals between them now this year. 27 for Cox and 23 for Natanui.
That's unbelievable effort from their ruckman.
This is a beautiful kick.
He just drew Natanui into the space, basically. I mean, Natanui was just waiting to see whether Gaff would keep carrying the ball, but then the kick drew him forward.
So Zeeble paying the price. He and Swallow just wonderful in the third term, trying to lift a flagging team. Wembley's kick is chopped off. Out of defence, it's driven out towards the wing. Arriving quickly, Thomas left the football behind. Quintus, all the time in the world, just feeds it forward. Butler looks inside the forward 50. Over the head of Bastenac, was the man who settled out. Almost a free kick to Natanui there. Nothing doing. Ball out of bounds.
Lingy said about maybe resting Cox and Natanui putting him on the bench. What they've actually done is they've pushed them both deep forward, and Lynch has gone into the ruck.
Yep.
And they've both kicked a goal in this quarter, Timon. The two big guys, 50 for the season between them, out on the full. We know how hard it is to get to the grand final. Impossible, basically, from an elimination. Selwood kicks the ball forward. Cox was flying along with Kennedy. Cunnington going back. Trying to fend off was Atley. Boundary throw in. What about the Eagles? I mean, do you feel like they can challenge hard from here?
I think they got the weapons. I mean, the couple of weapons that they had, Hawthorn shut down in round 23. And the two big blokes at the starting point, they can really have an incredible influence on the game.
Master misses a sitter. So
you even think about that performance against Hawthorn on the Friday night. You take out that first quarter where they got blown away. They were very much in that game from then on. I mean, they had the capacity to shut Hawthorn down and get back into the game. So their form really stacks up.
Anthony hard against the boundary line. In the direction of Petrie. Lurking behind, though, is Hearn. Comes away with Dash going down towards centre half forward. Kicks it. Look at that. A kilometre. That wasn't a Sharon. It was a Titleist. He's put it through. How about that?
Isn't that a great ability? A great ability that when you forward of centre, if I can get within about 60, I'm within distance.
He kicks like a mule, doesn't he?
Fantastic.
And when you hear, I mean, you don't get the sense of this when they're playing on the road in Melbourne, but when you hear, anytime he goes near the ball, you actually start to hear the crowd just starting to build up to their roar.
He's thinking, can I get close enough? Oh, why not? I'll have a go. I'm 60 metres, that's close enough.
Remember that torpedo from the previous quarter, which was a monster. So 12 goal kickers for the Eagles today. Hearn 7 goals in his last 7 matches. Great return off half-back, back pocket. Kerr, Selwood, back to Kerr, belting the ball forward. Cox fending off, giving. Shuey, left foot, got a bit on it. Shuey! Oh, well done, McMahon. Clever. Just thinking again with the Eagles, they've got Collingwood next week. The winner of that goes to Sydney. So you do avoid Hawthorn in the prelim, which at the moment they're the top team, they're the hot favourite. So I feel like the Eagles might have a real part of September here.
I think the fact that they've had a really easy win, and even though you're still running, you can't rest too much, you also know you're playing within yourself a little bit. I think that's helpful for them going forward.
Off hands, Hearn again. In trouble that time, surrounded by Kangaroos, falls to Swallow, hasn't stopped trying, and this one just inside the boundary.
Real form.
Swallow is up to 30. Sorry, Tim.
Sorry, Dennis. I was just going to say, real form has gone in waves, or does go in waves as well. So they came off a really flat spot there for about 6 weeks, the Eagles, and it just seems to me that they're getting back to their absolute best form that they showed in early parts of the season.
Kerr, almost as good as ever. Still gave it to Marsden. On the break is Brennan. This is very wide, but bounces inside the field of play. Everything has fallen into place. They made their own luck early, the West Coast Eagles, and didn't look back. Almost a carbon copy of what we saw last night. They don't exist anymore, but those old enough to remember know what a carbon copy is. Close to the boundary line. Thompson slips a hand pass away. Cunnington. Thompson over the top. Harper on a collision course with Cox, and the ball goes out of bounds.
So 20-15 to 9-12. Cox doing that ruck work down to Lynch. He's rucked a fair bit of the last quarter. That's a long goal to John Nat Nui nearly.
I'm not sure Nat Nui's getting a rest.
No. He's practicing the high jump down there.
Ferrito, short. So North in the finals for the first time since 2008. Not the result they wanted, but they have made a lot of progress this year. Cox to Prittis, to Lynch. And then Lynch didn't really feel Petrie coming at him. Gaff talked a lot about him today. Whackets it back to Shuey, to Selwood. This is Adam Selwood. Harvey just got the little smother in. McMillan, Zeeble getting close to 30. 5 times Swallow 30 this season, including today. Zeeble getting oh so close himself. Boundary throw-in.
He's a bit good, Glass. It's not so much the stats part of his game, but just the ability to hold their back group together.
What about Cox there? Brilliantly down to Kerr, to Prittis inside the forward 50. Roving the pack, wonderfully done by Kennedy. Got some depth on the hand pass out wide and snapped by Lynch. 2 goals to Lynch. It started with Cox. That was terrific ruck work on the outer side. Down the throat of Kerr, at the foot of the ruckman, and then it finished up with a sweeping hand pass from Kennedy to Lynch.
Todd Goldstein must be getting a bit tired. This is the 3rd one they've thrown at him.
Their bigs are formidable, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
You got this centre bounce. You'll have Kennedy, Nat Nui, Lynch inside their attacking 50.
Well, he needed a reasonable game, Lynch, didn't he? Because he's the man that came in. We know he's a fine player, but the balance of the team changes with him in. But he's delivered pretty well. They are so close now to their biggest final score ever.
Play on!
Within a point they are of the score from the 94 grand final, the Eagles. Glass belting away. What a player. Butler tucked it under the arm, comes out wide. Well cut off by Cunnington. So Cunnington, high draft pick that he was, back it goes, and Hearn just picks it off at the back. We don't have a man of the match today, but gee, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Their back group's been fantastic. They've got through a few times in the 3rd quarter. Kangaroos, but most of their defence has just been magnificent, the Eagles.
So Prittis, nice kick off the boot. Well done. Now Schofield likes a goal. And that one he just misses.
Look at that kick from Hearn there, from defensive 50. That attacking kick right through the corridor then. I mean, that just, it seems to still catch players unaware that he has that sort of depth in his kicking.
I reckon if you took Swallow and Zeeble out, West Coast would have the best 15 players on the ground.
Atley. Gave it to Grimer. He goes all the way back to the kickoff line. Scotty Thompson has had a fine season. Goes close to the boundary and the ball spills out.
Looks good. Cute.
After the boundary throw in. Tackled. I think it was Harper. Might be Bastanak in there. In fact, it's Gibson. After all of that, he comes stalking out of the pack looking for Shuey. Shuey hasn't made a lot of friends this season. Plays it hard. Cox decisively. Gaff. Nui couldn't hang on. Bounced off his chest. Out of bounds. He's really had a workout in this last quarter. Everything long to the square. He's been competing. Plus a couple of times pushing up on the lead. Cox is there with Goldstein, who won the tap it straight to Shuey. Smothered off the boot by Zeeble. Flicked out of there by Harper. Zeeble gave it back to McMillan. Well done by Anthony. Now the little kick from Campbell. Some indecision. Well, that really sums up their day. With it now is Kerr. Long kick by Daniel Kerr. What a season he's had. He's cramped up. Wonderful goal by the champ. A stellar career. And more finals to come.
They're just weighing up around the 50-metre line. It's a matter of actually whose turn is it to kick it. Just the two. Just didn't know whether to go, Petrie. Just didn't quite go, and Kerr just unloaded. Just one of talk about a confidence-boosting game of afternoon at the footy.
Well, in terms of the conditions have been tough, Lee, but it hasn't been a really physical game of footy, has it?
No, the tackling's been low, and that's the point. They've ran hard, but it hasn't been a real physical, heavy collision type, mauling packs that we've seen the last couple of finals.
So 13 individual goal scorers. 9 of their 22 goals outside 40. Brilliantly done, Cox, from Prittis to Shuey to Kerr, and then Kerr looks up to Hill. Hill and Darling. I mean, not Hill on the scoreboard, but I thought Hill and Darling early. Darling, Oxford. Hill was fantastic early. And then Lynch, long and strong, another one. This is an extraordinary last quarter. This is their highest score ever in any final, beating the 1994 grand final by quite a margin now. They broke the record in the first quarter. They broke the record in the first half. They're breaking the record over 4 quarters. And they've broken a few North Melbourne hearts today.
There's a procession now, and
get out of the centre square again. And how often have they ran through the front part of the centre square unopposed? I don't know. You just wonder whether you're planning to play against the Eagles. You've got to have someone coming off the back of the centre square, because that play absolutely destroys your defence. If
Lee,
yes, Lee.
Can these guys win it?
Well, I think they've got weapons. I mean, they've been outstanding today, and they're going to have a hard run in, but they have got weapons. The big ruckman, good defence, they've got a lot going for them.
Well, they come again. Cox, brilliant, down to Prittis. Lynch kicks inside the forward 50, fumble from right, and the ball goes out of bounds.
Baz has been in my ear all day telling me that they're absolute certainties from here, boys.
Oh, that's going a big one. Well, the round 23 game against Hawthorn got the jump early, and a lot of things didn't go right for Eagles in the night, but really, the last 3 quarters were relatively even, so that would give them some heart, I would have thought, going forward.
Swallow kicks it out of defence. I'd venture to say it's going back in shortly. Ball goes out of bounds, so John Worsfold clearly conflicted here. Captain in 94 and breaking his own records in a way, coaching this afternoon. But then again, all the success around the West Coast Eagles really is related in one way or another to John Worsfold. Free kick to Cox. Goldstein, a look of resignation on his face there moments ago, because he's been worn down and completely run over. One man asked to do too much against a brilliant combination. Cox in front. Goldstein reaches over the top. Almost a token effort there. In front, Marston. Hand pass back looking for Lynch, who secured his spot, I reckon, for next week. Embley, a high ball down towards full forward. Nick, careful how you land. It was almost a franchise. About 25 metres out, the umpire decides it's a North free kick.
Do you reckon John Worsfold's about to send the message out? Nick, stop jumping.
Chest marks only, Nick.
Glue your feet to the ground. Trouble is, when you jump, when you come down, you might hurt yourself. That's always a problem with the leapers.
That's right.
Well done by Kennedy. Oh, this is extraordinary stuff. A 9-goal last quarter. Kennedy's got 3 of those. 4 all up, 3 in the last quarter. Well, there are so many records that are broken today. It'll take me about half an hour. They haven't got time. It's their biggest win over North Melbourne ever. Their previous biggest win was the first time they ever played them in round 6, 1987. This is the biggest quarter they've ever had in a final. It's a long list, Dennis. I'm going to stop right there. But I'm enjoying it, aren't you?
It's been a good day at the footy. I mean,
There's some highlights late.
you feel sorry for North Melbourne because they probably deserved on balance over their season and their courage in the run home more than this, but footy doesn't claim to be fair.
And Dan, I think John Worsfold has seen enough of the Nick Natanui jumping. He's come off, and that would be it with less than 2 to play, you would think.
Well, yes, obviously John's a braces and belt man. Hearn goes back, hand passes to Glass. 2 minutes to go, he brings Nick off the ground. There he is. What an effort by he and Cox as Marston goes inside to Shuey. Shuey kicks inside the forward 50. Awkward bouncing football. Kerr, open goal square. Kerr trying to bounce it through, and he misses.
So, Collingwood next week for the Eagles. Adelaide next week for the Dockers. Well, they were 2 of 8, the Western Australian teams before this weekend. They're now 2 of 6. I'll tell you what, I reckon they've both got a good chance to get into the prelim final.
Yeah.
God, it's a fantastic crowd here. I know that Chris Scott didn't like them a few weeks ago, and he probably had good cause, but they create such an atmosphere, don't they?
Yes.
Just a fumble there, but look at this. As you said, Dennis, the Dockers a big win last night, but the Eagles are still the biggest noise in town.
I reckon this week these fans will be behaving this way on the street, which is scary stuff, Bruce.
So Thomas off a step. Glass belts it away in a boundary throw.
I think, though, the wave is a little passé, isn't it? Yeah. I think we've got to cut that out, Perth.
That's when the on-field's dull. It certainly hasn't been dull this last quarter, particularly. Highlight.
High ball from Zeeble is marked by Lynch. We're down to 40 seconds. That's right, Lee. It was invented just to fill in time at soccer matches, wasn't it? When things were getting dull. Short one comes to Hearn. Hearn at centre-half back to Embley. What a game he's played. Well, hard to find bad players for the Eagles this afternoon. Butler, a lot of the football in the last quarter. Schofield down to 15 seconds to Lynch. Lynch is going to finish with 3 goals across the ground. Adam Selwood tracks it back. It goes out of bounds. So the clock stops at 4 seconds.
Inside 50s this last quarter, the Eagles. That's incredible.
Tossed in, wait for the siren. Memorable victory. As Bruce said, they've almost rewritten the record book. Dean Cox, in his 250th, gets the adulation he deserves along with that win. And he was terrific as well. Every face virtually a winner as we look at the West Coast Eagles. They're through to meet Collingwood next week. Let's go down to Cameron Lynn.
Well, Coxie, a bit spent there, but just a really pleasing win. You guys were fantastic today.
Yeah, it was. We really set ourselves to start the game well against Hawthorn last week. We didn't do that, so it's just a matter of trying to play 120 consistent minutes, and we did that, which was good.
And congratulations, mate. 250 games. A chance to savour that, or is it all about the team winning on to Collingwood next week?
Yeah, no, it's all about finals now. It's a great honour to represent this club for so many times, but it's all about Collingwood this week and progressing through this final series.
A game like this has got to give you guys a lot of belief going into Collingwood, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and we obviously faced Collingwood and Hawthorn leading into today, so we knew the intensity was there for them previous 2 games, and yeah, we are confident going in, but they are a good side as well.
Well done today, mate. Thank you for your time. Over to you, Baz.
Good on you, linking on with Nick Natanui. Nick, awesome atmosphere here tonight. 96-point win, absolutely superb by the Eagles.
Yeah, full house and everyone came down, especially to support Big Coxie as well in his 250th, so it's a good turnout and a great finish.
He's been a mentor for yours. He was terrific today. You must love playing in tandem with Dean Cox.
Yeah, it is. It does help me a fair bit, and having Coxie out there and knowing that he's going to stand up during the big games is always, build a bit of confidence in you. So, it's great having Coxie out there.
Collingwood next week. Is that where the attention is straight away?
Yeah, we'll look to that just to recover after today and then look towards Collingwood. So, we're pretty confident going over there. So we beat them a couple of weeks ago and hope to do the same this weekend.
We met your mum and your girlfriend before the game. Mum said you cooked your own breakfast this morning.
Yeah, I don't like people touching my food, so yeah, I did myself.
Good luck next week, Nick. Well played.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Basil. Thanks for that. Well, both Matt Nui and Cox made such a contribution again today. And for North Melbourne, well, they had a great burst in the second half of the season. Don't forget how loyal they were in Launceston when they were beaten by Hawthorn. They've come back well. So both the Western Australian teams are involved this weekend.
And if Brad Scott came out to his team and decided to walk off with them, I think that's sort of solidarity. We've had a shocking day. Our season's over, but we're all in this together.
Yeah, good stuff, eh?
Yeah, that's what you've got to do. I mean, it's all about learning from going forward, but at the moment, everyone's hurting from the Kangaroos' point of view.
Just a magnificent match for the Eagles. I mean, they started it all. And just looking ahead, always the losers of the qualifying finals beat the winners of the elimination final. I'm not so sure this week. Adelaide Fremantle Friday night, over that's 50-50. Collingwood West Coast 50-50.
Well, they get the advantage of the home state. I mean, it's always a big-ish difference when you're playing in Perth from the Eagles' point of view, or as they will on Friday night, play Saturday night, isn't it? Play in the MCG.
I reckon the Eagles on the bubble of their form, though, right now. I don't think anybody in the competition, outside maybe Hawthorn, would even really be wanting to play the West Coast Eagles on this form today.
That's the point, Jim, isn't it? Both these West Australian sides in stellar form at the moment. I mean, Fremantle terrific last night, and now the West Coast turning this on today. So for whatever reason, both peaking at just the right time, and the final's so much about that.
Beau Waters, we shouldn't forget Beau Waters, because he's a big out for the Eagles, isn't he?
He's a real talisman of the way that they play, so he is a massive loss. You're quite right.
But there's so much to like about them today as there were about the Dockers last night. Fabulous atmosphere here. It was a hot day in so many ways. And what about these veterans, Embley and Cox and Glass? They've been magnificent, haven't they?
What about effectiveness from them? He had 21 kicks, 1 handball, didn't handball much, 82% efficiency and 4 goals straight. I mean, he just really so good with ball in hands.
So it's all done and dusted for North Melbourne and Geelong. They're the two teams that have created a lot of excitement again this year, but they're out. And the Eagles and the Dockers have won the elimination finals, and they set up a huge weekend. Adelaide and the Dockers Friday night, Collingwood and the Eagles Saturday night. It was a packed house, and they loved every last minute of as Cox gets cheered from the ground.